About like when Fat Pat died, like that was like a burden on Screw, you know what I'm
Yeah, it
saying?
bothered him, man. He took that real hard, man.
He was dealing with bad individuals, you know what I'm saying? You know, and when you start dealing with the wrong people, man, the wrong shit happens.
Fat Pat was Houston's next big thing, the kind of talent you just knew was about to blow up. He had the voice, the flow, and that realness that couldn't be faked. Everything was falling into place perfectly until it all came crashing down. Before anyone knew it, that bright light was gone. Fat Pat became another name in one of hip-hop's most mysterious and heartbreaking unsolved killings. Who did it? Why did it happen? And how did it all go down? Nobody ever found out. Fat Pat was born and raised deep in Texas, growing up in the Dead End area on Houston's South Side. Back in the 1970s and 1980s, the city was alive with music, from blues and gospel to soul and the rough homegrown hip-hop that Houston would soon be famous for. That mix of sounds shaped him from day one. He came from a close family, his big brother, John Edward Big Hawk Hawkins, and two sisters. Fat Pat and Hawk were like twins in spirit, always together on that same dead-end block off MLK. Life on the South Side was tough, but it gave them heart and made that brother bond unbreakable. That brotherhood later turned into one of the strongest creative duos Houston hip-hop ever witnessed.
Came up, man, Fat Pat was the freestyle king. He got the freestyle trophy from High Roll.
Fat Pat went to Sterling High School, the same school Beyonce would later walk the halls of. It was there that he really started falling deep in love with music, putting all his energy into turning that passion into something real. His turning point came when he first heard rapper C-Note freestyling on one of DJ Screw's homemade tapes. That slow, hypnotic sound hit him instantly. Something about it just clicked. Fat Pat was hooked. So in 1992, he jumped into the game and recorded his first tape, unknowingly setting a new course for Houston rap forever. Not long after, he pulled Big Hawk straight to DJ Screw's house, wanting his brother to feel that same spark. That introduction changed everything. From that day forward, Fat Pat and Big Hawk became two of the main forces in the legendary Screwed Up Clique. DJ Screw's growing circle of raw Houston talent making magic out of a humble South Park home studio. By 1994, Fat Pat had locked in his spot for good. He helped form the Dead End Alliance with Big Hawk, DJ Screw, and KK, a group that perfectly captured that freestyle-heavy, gritty Southside sound. Throughout the mid-90s, Fat Pat never stopped grinding. He was on countless DJ Screw tapes, spitting bars alongside names like Lil Kiki, Big Mo, Big Pokey, ESG, and plenty more. Every verse, every tape, every collab, it was all part of the legend he was building. What made Fat Pat stand out wasn't just his voice, it was how complete he was as an artist. DJ Screw's biographer, Lance Scott Walker, once said Fat Pat was the most complete artist from the early Screwed Up Clique days, and he wasn't lying. Pat could do it all, sing smooth hooks, paint vivid pictures of street life, switch up his flow on command, slow it down or speed it up, and every time it sounded effortless. But it wasn't just his music that made people love him. Outside the booth, Fat Pat was unforgettable. He had style, confidence.
Fat Pat, when you first met him,
the life of the party, you know what I mean?
The life of the party.
Yeah, big super giant personality, man. Just like you would think. A showman always putting on a show, you know?
Yeah.
Always grandstanding. He gonna command the whole room because he big dude with a deep voice.
And that natural energy that made everyone gravitate toward him. Friends said he was real to the core, always checking on people when they were struggling and lifting them up without ever making a big deal about it. He loved cruising in his slab, windows down, music loud, enjoying life to the fullest, scooping people up for weekend rides and keeping that good time vibe rolling straight through Sunday night. Fat Pat was a huge part of what made DJ Screw's tapes feel so alive, so genuine, and so deep. Screw might have created that slowed down hypnotic sound, but it was Fat Pat who gave those tapes their soul. He brought emotion, storytelling, and style that turned each freestyle into something special. More than anyone, he helped shape the Screwed Up Clique's lyrical direction and overall vibe. Pat kept his heart in Houston, not just repping the city's name, but capturing its spirit. He rapped about the slang people actually used, the street corners they chilled on, the clubs that stayed lit, and the characters that gave the South Side his personality. On classic Screw tapes like Wineberry Over Gold, Fat Pat dropped a jaw-dropping 12-minute freestyle that fans still can't stop talking about. And on another legendary session, he didn't even rap. He just went around shouting out everyone in the room, showing love and respect. Somehow, even that moment became iconic. When Fat Pat turned 27 in 1997, DJ Screw dedicated a special spot to him on the tape It's All Good. That tape captured Pat at his absolute peak, confident, creative, and totally in his element. His voice carried energy, his words carried heart, and his presence carried the whole movement forward. As his Screw tape legacy hit new heights, Fat Pat started making power moves on the business side too. He signed with Houston-based Rec Shop Records, the main label pushing screwed-up click artists beyond the underground. Even before his solo career took off, Pat had already built major recognition through Dead End Alliance, a crew whose music celebrated Houston streets, struggles, and Southern pride. Then came 1997, the breakthrough year.
He was dealing with bad individuals, you know what
Okay.
I'm saying? You know, and when you start dealing with the wrong people, man, the wrong shit happens. A guy named Weasel, promoter out of Austin, you know what I'm saying? They had developed somewhat of a relationship, some type of friendship, business type. They got crossed up some kind of way, man, and that's, you know, that's pretty much...
That's the story.
That's the story, yeah.
Fat Pat teamed up with DJ DMD and Lil Kiki for the track 25 Lighters, and that song exploded. It became an instant Texas anthem, marking a turning point not just for Pat, but for the whole SUC movement. For the first time, that underground Houston sound was breaking out past the South Side and making noise across the map.
How was it like for you and Pat growing up?
Oh man, it's normal, brother. You know, man, just like anybody with a brother, you know, never fight, play, we had fun. But you know, as we got older, we maturing as men, you know, we had more fun.
Fat Pat was ready to take things to the next level. He officially launched his solo career under Rec Shop Records and jumped right into creating what would become his debut masterpiece, Ghetto Dreams, recorded at J2 Recording Studio in Houston. The project featured production from heavy hitters like Double D, No DJ Slash, and other local legends who helped shape the city's sound. From start to finish, the album was pure Fat Pat. His story, his mindset, his city. Ghetto Dreams was more than just music. It was a reflection of Houston's heart and hustle. It celebrated Southside street life, slab rides, loyalty, and survival, all wrapped up in Pat's smooth flow and larger-than-life personality. He didn't just rap about Houston, he brought it to life. Every lyric felt like a drive through the city itself. The lead single, Tops Drop, became the anthem that defined slab culture for the world to see. Pat painted the scene perfectly. Candy-painted rides, cream leather interiors, screens glowing in the dash, trunks lifting, and tops dropping on command. When he rapped, "Trunks pop, tops drop," it wasn't just a catchy line, it was a way of life in Houston. Suddenly, people outside of Texas were finally seeing the world the city had been living for decades. For an independent record, Tops Drop went crazy. It climbed to number 10 on the bubbling under Hot 100 chart, hit number 46 on the R&B charts, and even reached number 5 on the rap charts. A massive achievement for an underground artist putting on for his city. But the magic didn't stop there. Ghetto Dreams was packed with bangers.
I've heard people talk about like when Fat Pat died, like that was like a burden on Screw. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it bothered him, man. He took that real hard, man. He took that real.
Third Coast was a proud salute to Texas and Houston identity. Body Rock featuring Big Steve brought pure energy and street power. Peepin' Me with Lil Kiki and Ronnie Spencer showed that signature SUC chemistry, smooth and seamless. And Do You Like What You See? Featuring Big Pokey and Double D leaned deep into that slowed down, laid back Houston vibe that fans couldn't get enough of. Then came the final track, Friends We Know. It was deep, emotional, and real. Pat opened up about loyalty, brotherhood, and the tough lessons that come with life in the streets. It was the perfect closer, raw, reflective, and powerful. And the album was supposed to drop in March 1998, just 2 weeks after tragedy struck. Instead of marking his official rise to national stardom, Ghetto Dreams became a posthumous release when it dropped on March 17, 1998. The timing was heartbreaking. What should have been a celebration of Fat Pat's success turned into a moment of mourning for the entire city. Even with the pain surrounding it, the album made a serious impact. It reached number 39 on the Billboard Top R&B Hip Hop Albums chart and number 19 on the Top Heat Seekers chart. Those numbers proved what everyone in Houston already knew. Fat Pat was right there on the edge of something huge. The album release party was supposed to be a night of joy and pride, a moment to finally celebrate everything Pat had worked for. But instead, it became something much heavier, a gathering to honor his life. Big names came out in full force. Scarface, Willie D, Lil Kiki, DJ Screw, the Botany Boys, South Park Mexican, and many others. all showing love and respect to a fallen brother who had changed Houston forever. Then came that tragic afternoon, February 3rd, 1998. Fat Pat made a decision that would unknowingly mark the final hours of his life. Earlier that day, he drove out to the Meadow Southwest apartment complex on So Drive near the Southwest Freeway and Beltway 8. What happened next would shake the entire Houston rap community and leave questions that still haunt hip-hop today. Fat Pat had gone there that day to collect an appearance fee he was owed by a local promoter. Just a regular business move, nothing unusual. But to stay safe, he brought 3 friends along with him. They waited in the car while Pat went inside the apartment complex alone, planning to handle things quickly and head out. The promoter he was supposed to meet was Kenneth Weasel Watson, a familiar name in Houston's music scene. The apartment Fat Pat entered wasn't even Watson's own spot. It was leased under Watson's girlfriend. And that's where things get mysterious, because what actually went down inside those walls is something that still doesn't add up, even decades later. According to the version most people believe, Watson wasn't home when Fat Pat showed up. After realizing nobody was there, Pat decided to leave and come back later. Simple as that. But as he stepped into the hallway, everything flipped in an instant. Out of nowhere, an unidentified gunman appeared and fired a single shot straight to Pat's head. The silence that followed was shattered by panic. From the car outside, Pat's friends saw 2 men sprinting out of the building right after the gunshot. They rushed inside, only to find Fat Pat lying face down in the hallway. It was a scene no one could ever forget. He was just 27 years old. In his prime, at the peak of his creativity, with his debut album only weeks away from changing the game, Houston had been ready to see him blow up nationwide, but instead, it was left stunned by his sudden loss. Almost immediately, stories started flying. Everyone had their own version of what really happened that day. One version claimed that Kenneth Watson was home and had invited Fat Pat inside. According to that story, Watson believed Pat had set him up to be robbed. In a split second of fear and paranoia, Watson supposedly pulled the trigger while Pat was on the phone with one of his associates. But that account never gained enough proof to be considered official. It floated around Houston quietly, more rumor than record. Another long-standing rumor in the city's hip-hop circles suggested the killing might have been tied to money, specifically unpaid debts. That theory gained traction years later when tragedy struck again. Fat Pat's brother, Big Hawk, was murdered under eerily similar circumstances. Some people in Houston still whisper that both brothers may have gotten caught up in the same kind of disputes involving the same crowd. There was also another belief that Watson thought Fat Pat was about to rob him and fired first, acting out of fear, not malice. That story overlapped with the others, blending pieces of truth and speculation. But just like the rest, it was never confirmed. When police arrived at the scene, the details only made things more confusing. Fat Pat's car was still parked outside, doors locked, nothing stolen. That one fact alone made it seem like robbery wasn't the motive at all. Investigators immediately focused their attention on Kenneth Watson since he was the reason Pat had gone there in the first place. Kenneth Weasel Watson was never officially charged for Fat Pat's murder. Later, he did end up arrested and locked up on unrelated drug charges, but when it came to Pat's killing, nothing ever moved forward. That silence fueled endless speculation. Some people believed the cops truly didn't have enough solid evidence, while others whispered that maybe there was more happening behind the scenes. The Houston Police Department hit wall after wall trying to make progress. A few residents said they heard gunshots that day, but no one could say for sure who fired them or what exactly they saw. The crime scene didn't turn up much in the way of evidence. No real forensics, no solid leads, just heartbreak and questions. Detectives spoke with Pat's friends, family, and everyone close to him, but the story was always the same. Nobody could name a single person who'd ever want Fat Pat dead. Pat wasn't the type to have enemies. He was loved everywhere he went, generous, loyal, respected, and always showing love to others, especially in Houston's music world. But as weeks turned into months and months slid into years, the case froze over. Fat Pat's murder slowly became one of Houston hip-hop's most painful mysteries, a story that still leaves fans shaking their heads to this day. Even now, Fat Pat's murder remains officially unsolved. He never got the chance to see just how big his wave was about to get. When Ghetto Dreams dropped on March 17, 1998, only 2 weeks after his death, it hit hard. The album wasn't just a project anymore, it became a memorial, a snapshot of everything that made Fat Pat one of a kind. The video for Top's Drop took that emotion even higher. Those slabs rolling through the streets of Houston in perfect formation turned into an unplanned tribute, a moving farewell to a hometown hero. What was supposed to be a celebration of car culture became something deeper, a visual goodbye to a star whose light was taken too soon. Fans weren't celebrating his success anymore. They were honoring his legacy, watching his name live on through candy paint and chrome. Even after he was gone, Fat Pat's voice refused to fade away. His sound stayed alive in Houston's streets, his verses echoing through new records and remixes. One of the biggest moments came when DJ DMD reworked 25 Lighters, bringing back an old Fat Pat verse alongside Lil Kiki, turning it into a timeless anthem that still hits today. Just 4 months after Ghetto Dreams dropped, Rec Shop Records released Throwed Into Game, Fat Pat's second posthumous album. The project proved again how naturally gifted he was, featuring tracks like Holla at Chaw, packed with that effortless flow and confident swagger that only Pat could deliver. Around the same time, DJ Screw and the Screwed Up Clique dropped their official group album. Another powerful reminder that Fat Pat's influence was everywhere. Screwed for life. That phrase became more than just a title. It became a statement, a symbol of loyalty, pain, and legacy. The albums that followed Fat Pat's death helped cement the Screwed Up Clique's place in history, not just as a local Houston crew, but as a full-blown cultural movement that changed Southern rap forever. Fat Pat's death also placed him in hip-hop's haunting 27 Club, the group of legendary artists who passed away at just 27 years old, right on the edge of greatness. That number hit hard, sparking endless what-if conversations. What if he'd lived just one more year? What if Ghetto Dreams had gotten the national push it deserved? Those questions still echo through Houston to this day. Many people close to the scene, along with hip-hop historians, believe Fat Pat was destined to be the first Screwed Up Clique artist to truly break nationwide and hit platinum status. He had the voice, the presence, and the star power that could have taken that slowed-down Houston sound from the underground straight to the mainstream. His loss didn't just hurt, it shook the foundation of the city's rap scene. No one felt that pain more than his brother Big Hawk. Fat Pat's murder changed Hawk in ways words can barely describe. It broke him, but it also transformed him. After losing Pat, Hawk's whole outlook on life and music shifted. He moved away from glorifying guns and street violence and started focusing on themes that ran deeper: family, brotherhood, loyalty, and that unstoppable Houston pride. His verses became more reflective, more grounded, almost like he was carrying his brother's message forward every time he touched the mic. One of Fat Pat's closest friends at the time was a young up-and-coming rapper named Paul Wall, long before he became a household name. Pat's death left a mark on him too, one that ran deep. To honor their bond, Paul Wall did something truly heartfelt. He named his first son William Patrick Hawkins after Fat Pat himself. And he didn't stop there. In his breakout hit, They Don't Know, Paul slipped in lines from Fat Pat's Third Coast, keeping his mentor's voice alive in the music forever. DJ Screw took the loss especially hard. The timing couldn't have been worse. That very same week, Screw had been setting up Screwed Up Records, his first official store meant to take the underground sound he'd built in his home studio and give it a real home in the city. It was supposed to be a moment of celebration, the next big step for the movement. Instead, it turned into a week of heartbreak. Screw had lost not only one of his closest collaborators, but one of the main voices that gave the entire SUC its soul. Just 2 years later, in 2000, tragedy struck again. DJ Screw passed away at only 29 years old. His death made the loss of Fat Pat hit even harder. It felt like the heart of Houston's underground sound had been ripped away piece by piece. Looking back, Fat Pat's murder wasn't just a single tragedy. It became one of Houston hip-hop's most painful, unsolved mysteries, part of a larger wave of violence that haunted the rap world through the late 90s and early 2000s. Then, in 2006, the pain deepened once more. Big Hawk, Pat's brother and closest ally, was shot and killed too. Another murder, another case left cold. Two brothers, both loved by everyone around them, both gone without justice. It was heartbreaking. Two lives that built the foundation of Houston's hip-hop movement, both silenced before their time. But even with his career cut short, Fat Pat's legacy refused to fade. His name lived on far beyond numbers or chart spots because his influence ran deeper than the industry. Fat Pat helped define the Screwed Up Clique's entire identity. That raw, documentary-like style where every track felt like real life playing out on tape. He wasn't just making songs, he was capturing moments, memories, and the spirit of the streets that raised him. Fat Pat also pushed Houston's slab culture into the national spotlight. What started as a local Southside tradition, candy-painted rides, chrome rims, and slow cruising with pride, became a symbol of Southern culture recognized all across the country. His sound and his swagger made Houston impossible to ignore. More than anything, Fat Pat represented unity and collaboration. Even as members of the Screwed Up Clique began branching out and chasing solo dreams, Pat's love for teamwork kept everyone connected. He showed that community mattered just as much as fame, and that real success came from lifting each other up. And even after he was gone, his impact only grew stronger. His albums Ghetto Dreams and Throw It in the Game kept selling. His verses were still being quoted, and new generations of Houston artists continued to draw inspiration from his flow, his storytelling, and his realness. His voice lived on, sampled in tracks, shouted out in tributes, and woven into the DNA of Southern hip-hop itself. That lasting influence was officially honored in 2019 when the University of Houston Libraries hosted a special exhibit called Brothers in Rhyme, Fat Pat, Big Hawk, and the Screwed Up Clique. The exhibition showcased their personal belongings, rare music artifacts, and heartfelt memories, a beautiful tribute that finally cemented Fat Pat's place in Houston's cultural history. Fat Pat's story reminds everyone that true legends never fade. They echo through generations. His life, his sound, and his energy continue to inspire artists across the South and beyond. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more deep dives into hip-hop's untold legends, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next video.